All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 2, Faith, Film, and the Power of Purpose. Tonight, everyone, we have a special guest, Dr. Dennis Walter Smith, songwriter, actor, producer, and healer. Dr. Smith, from his earlier performance in the U.S. Air Force, penning over 400 songs from starring in his own feature film called Saving Anna, if I said that right, and an Oscar recognition. Welcome, everyone. We got
Yes.
the one and only Dr. Dennis. Let's give him a round of applause.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so very much.
So, Dr. Dennis,
So great to
how's
be here.
everything going tonight? How's everything on your end? The weather, your day, and fill us in.
Well, it's a
Can you hear
great
me?
day. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
I
Yes,
can
I
hear
can hear
you.
you.
Let me see.
Oh, we got technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. In the meantime, okay. Hello?
Yeah, I can
Can
hear.
you
I
hear
can
me,
hear you.
Dennis?
Can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you. All right. I can hear you now. Much better. All right, everyone. Back on track. Sorry for that technical difficulty. So, Dennis, let us know, how's your day going? How's everything going? And tell us what's been happening, man.
Hi, JR. Hi. Such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. What a humbling experience to sit, next to you and talk to you. Life is great. Today was a super day. I'm in upstate New York. The weather's a little chilly, but not bad. No rain. I had a great day. Just kind of hanging out. I went to class today. Finishing up a nursing assistant. So I take my test next week, and just been relaxing uh, and looking forward to tonight's event. But good day. Always happy to be able to breathe and say hello to somebody. So it's a good thing.
Hey, it's
How
a
about
pleasure to
yourself?
have you, and I'm excited. So tell me, Dennis, today I didn't really do much. The kids had a half a day, so my schedule was a little bit short. I had to push everything back, and I had to go pick up my daughters from school. And they had like a dentist cleaning today, so I had to do that as
Hmm.
well. And when I came home, took care of my mom and stuff. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Can
Yes,
you hear
it's
me?
breaking up just a little bit, but I can hear you.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right. No,
Yes.
there's a slight lagging, so I noticed. All right. So yeah,
Yeah.
I had to cut my day short and stuff. But I'm glad to be alive, glad to wake up today and see the world and be grateful for the things around me. Wonderful people here tonight. And oh yes, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give a
Yeah.
thanks to our producer as well, MK. Thank you for putting all this together and making it happen. You are the woman over there. God bless you. All right. So, Dennis, so tell me, the calling
That's awesome.
behind your craft, how how did it start?
Wow. Oh,
Did you hear
that
me?
goes
The
back
calling
many,
behind the
many, many,
craft.
many years. I heard you. Yes. Yeah. Calling behind the craft. Well, JR, I grew up in Philadelphia. Uh, and in the '70s, the old sound of Philadelphia. Patti LaBelle, Stylistics, um, Teddy Pendergrass, uh, all those groups from back there. It was very inspiring. And what was most inspiring, believe it or not, I grew up on the same street as Teddy Pendergrass in Philadelphia, 8th Street. And I grew up in the 3000 block, and he grew up in the 2800 block. He's 13 years older, but same neighborhood. So growing up as a kid, 7, 8 years old, listening to all those sounds, um, I liked it. And when I realized I had a voice, it, it came by accident. It was the summertime. I think it was about 1973. And I was outside singing some oldies but goodies that used to come on Sundays for the little girls in the neighborhood. And they liked it a lot. So They said, "Wow, you have a really nice voice." And I never took it serious. It was just fun to do. My father had a beautiful voice. He sounded so much like Nat King Cole around the house. He never used it as a craft or
Wow.
even pursued it, but he had this golden, beautiful tone to his voice, so beautiful. And I loved my father dearly. He passed in 1994, but I wanted to be like him. I wanted to talk like him. He was very articulate, and his voice was just so moving. So I would try to emulate him, and that started the idea of, wow, I could sing a little bit, kind of thing. But I never took it serious. I never took it serious. I got in one choir, I believe it was in junior high school, and that was about it. I was completely submerged into sports growing up. Um, Thank God for, he blessed me with some athletic abilities too. So I was deeply submerged in sports. I played football, I played baseball. And my initial goal in life was to be a baseball player. I spent several years honing my craft and working. And it was, there was no YouTube or anything like that back then. Read books. I was a pitcher, and I played shortstop. So that was it. I wanted to be a baseball player. Singing had nothing, no place in my life. But in high school, there were three girls who were singers and notorious for being singers, and they kept asking me all through high school, please, get in the choir, get in the glee club. You have such a beautiful voice. And I was like, I just want to play sports, kind of thing. So finally, the senior year, they convinced me. This is a dynamic story. They convinced me to go see the music teacher. He was way up on the third floor in high school. They finally begged me and drugged me up there, and I went up there. It was around January of 1981, my senior year, and they wanted me to sing for this music teacher. I said, okay, finally, kind of thing. Regret it, I didn't want to go, but I did it anyway for them. So I went up there, and I had never sung for anyone in front of a piano or anything like that. So she said, I heard you can sing. I've been hearing about you for a few years. Can you just please sing something for me? She said, do you know any songs? And I said, yeah, I know a Stevie Wonder song. I don't remember what the song was, but it was a Stevie Wonder song. It was a current hit. And she said, have you ever sung something with a company? And I didn't know what she was talking about. She said, have anyone ever played the piano or anything like that while you were singing? I said, no. She said, okay, well, give it a try. So I gave it a try, and it sort of messed like it was supposed to be. She was very impressed that I could follow her and keep up and sing the song and stay on pitch. So I started singing the song, and I closed my eyes because I was kind of nervous. I'd never done that before. So I closed my eyes for about a minute or so, and then I opened my eyes, and this woman had stopped playing the piano, and she was like crying profusely. And I thought I did something wrong. I didn't know whether I stepped on her foot or something. And I asked her why she was crying. She said, well, Dennis, I've been a music teacher for 20 something years. And the last person that impressed me like this went to this school and graduated 13 years ago. And that was Teddy Pendergrass. And I was like floored. Like, she was so excited that, number one, I sang for her. And the compliment was like an eye-opening epiphany. Like, whoa, she compared me to Teddy Pendergrass, kind of thing. So I still didn't take it serious.
Okay.
And that year, a couple months later, we had our senior banquet, and they were giving out awards. And I knew I was up for an award for biology. I loved science and that kind of thing. So I knew I was going to get that award. And then they gave me an award for the most talented person in the school. Now, this is the funny part. I thought it was a joke. My mother was there, my sister was there, and I think my brother was there. And I thought it was some kind of joke that the class was playing on me, senior class, because I graduated with some funny guys. And turned out it was really serious. Above all the people who had been in the glee clubs and the performances and the plays, they chose me as the most talented person in the school. And I just was thinking about that for months. They gave me the award, and I went in the Air Force. I kept that award, and I kind of hung it on my wall for about 2 years, just looking at it. And I was asking God, what does this mean? Like, why did I, of all the people in the world who never performed in front of anyone, get an award for the most talented person in the school? And there were people who were upset, who had been in, saxophone players and been in the bands. Like, where did you come from? Like how did you get the most talented award and you've never sung in front of anybody? But they were pretty salty at me.
Okay.
But luckily I graduated because they didn't have a chance to, beat me up or something. But, yeah, they, and I got this award and I kept them award. And I went to basic training in the Air Force, kept looking at it in my locker, and I went overseas. It was my first tour of duty in Japan. And I kept it on my wall, and I would literally sometimes just sit there and just stare, like, why do I have this? Why do I have this? So I was there for 18 months, and then I went to Southern California, and I got in a talent show in Southern California at a base down there. And I got in a talent show, and I remember singing One in a Million by Larry Graham. And I won first place, best of show in a talent show. And that was my calling. Like, are you serious? No training, no nothing, just raw, whatever it was, just raw talent. Thank God for it. I won, and that was it. And when I picked up that mic, when I got off that stage, I was like, I think I'd like to do this for a very long time. And people were just, gave me the standing ovation kind of thing.
Okay.
And then, I prayed about it, always close to Jesus. Not as much as I am now, but I was always close and listening to his voice. And wow, it was amazing. So then I went to work. Because I remembered my father always told me, everyone has gifts and talents. And when you find it, you put all your might into it to be the best, not better than anyone, but bringing your best you to that game in life. And so I went to work and started honing my craft and listening to other people. And yeah, that's how I started. It's no regrets whatsoever.
That's
no
regrets.
How it happened.
Wow.
So yeah, that's how it began. That's how it happened.
I tell you, Dennis.
That's how it started. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Some people, they miss their calling. Some people miss their calling. And
yes,
it's good to know that the Lord was guiding you. And
you you're absolutely right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well,
that's amazing. I love that story. When you tell me, I
thank you.
Did you? There was a lag.
You broke up just a little bit there.
So tell me.
Yeah.
Can you still hear me? Is it coming in and out?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I hear you.
Well, let me try this. The song that touched the nation. Tell me a little bit about that.
Wow, missing children. To this day, I am completely blown away by what God handed me. And I have to, that's the only way to say it. In 1994, I didn't have a record deal or anything like that. I had a manager who met me at the Apollo. I was performing at the Apollo, and I had won a couple of times up in Harlem. And I saw this guy backstage. This is a funny story. I saw this guy backstage. He had brought another artist to the Apollo. And I was backstage just quiet. I was waiting to go on to perform. Of course, it's late. The show didn't even start until, I don't know, like 11 o'clock at night. And met this guy, and he became my manager. And he saw Jody Heimball, Cape May, New Jersey, who was the father of Mark Heimball, who had gone missing November 25th, 1991. And he saw this guy in AM Philadelphia talking about his son. He had been missing like 3 years at that time. So my then manager, Bob, who since passed away, he called me up in '94 and said, Dennis, I just saw this guy on AM Philadelphia. You know, it was such a sad story. He was talking about his son. He said, can you write a song for missing children so we can dedicate it to this guy? I mean, he said, I just feel like I want to do something good for someone. And I know you're very talented. I just want, to write a song for this guy and donate it to his foundation, maybe to bring awareness or try to raise money. I said, sure. I thought about it for a minute. And I said, Bob, if I'm going to do a song like this, it's got to come from God. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, you know me, I'm a very spiritual person, and something like this, I got to get his approval. I got to get his direction. He said, okay, do what you have to do. So I hung up the phone with him, and I literally went in the bathroom, turned off the light, got on my knees, and prayed and asked, for guidance for this song. I said, because this has got to be something that is appealing to the whole world. And it's got to come from you, Jesus. Help me out, give me some direction. And 10 minutes later, I stood up, and what you hear was in my head in all of its form. The song, the melodies, the music, the sound, the dynamics, everything was in my head, and it just blew me away. And I just couldn't believe what I was hearing in my head. Now, at that time, I was and didn't know it, a producer, a music producer, but I knew what I heard in my head. So I had this nice workstation, they used to call them, keyboard. And I sat down and I started writing what was in my head. And my manager was so excited that I was doing it. He kept calling me up, 3 days in a row. Hey, Dennis, how's it going? Kind of trying to get the vibe of what I was doing. And he didn't know, he doesn't know anything about creativity or any of that kind of stuff. And I literally had to tell him, I said, Bob, this is something that I have to do, and I've got to be completely submerged. So I don't want to talk to you until I'm done. Okay. He said, really? I said, no. I said, yes, I don't want to talk to you. When I said, please don't, with all due respect, I know you're my manager, but please don't call me. We're not going to talk about this until I'm done. I said, when it's done, you're going to see some magic. You're going to hear something that you've never heard before. He said, okay. Oh, you sure? I said, yes, please. I said, please don't call me, and everything will be okay. So for 3 weeks, at the time I wasn't working. 3 weeks, and the reason it took 3 weeks, I've never taken 3 weeks to write anything. Usually, I've written a song that was published on Columbia Records in 3 minutes. The motivation and inspiration, sometimes it just automatically comes. But with Missing Children, the reason it took so long is because I kept crying. Because I could hear in my head, but it was so hard to do because the Spirit was just moving, and it was such a beautiful, it wasn't a song, it was an experience for Missing Children. The song, it was the music, the words, and it took 3 weeks for me to complete it. But it was the best experience I ever had, because when it got done, I was completely floored, and I couldn't just channel it into one specific person or one foundation. I said, the world has got to hear this. And that's when I went to work and, had my own label, and it was received, oh my God, so well. When I let Jody and his wife hear it, they were just completely floored. And at the time, believe it or not, that's when Code Adam, John Walsh, and his son, Adam, who had been murdered, was found dead.
Yes. You were telling me
he was
about,
abducted from Walmart. Yeah, he was abducted from Walmart. So Code Adam had just that summer had just hit all the Walmarts. Code Adam is a security specialty that they would lock all the doors automatically, make an announcement to make sure no one left until whatever child had gone missing was found, in the store, kind of thing. So that was going on simultaneously. So that's the immediate promotion was Walmart and Code Adam, and I was performing the song around the Walmarts in Philadelphia, New Jersey, Delaware. I don't think we went to DC or anything there. Yeah, and so the momentum started from there, and then it got, we released it. And what was interesting is my idea and my goal of the song is that it had to be something that appealed to the whole world, every genre, every walk of life. It wasn't genre specific. It wasn't R&B, pop, country. It had elements of classical, everything. It had to have that. So that's what I asked God to give me. Give me something that wouldn't be specific, and it's not. And I wanted something that wasn't for performance. I wanted something so when people listen to the song, they would be in that parent's spot mentally and emotionally from a perspective of a parent, not as a listening to the song as a performance. Wow. So go ahead.
You wanted to give them an experience.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. An experience of an experience of what it feels like to have a missing child. And
correct.
when that song hit the airways, many people thought that because my son was born a month after the song was released, my oldest son, and they thought that I had a child missing because it was so emotional and so real that there was no way to separate that song from an actual event that happened to me. And that let me know that my job as an artist and as a creator, like acting, like actors don't act, they live kind of thing. So in that song, I put all of my emotion, and I became that parent who never had a child that had a missing child. And that's what I poured into the song. And when it came across the airways,
beautiful. Because let me tell.
Thank you.
No, because I wanted to share something with you, Dennis. That's how Nightfall was given to me. I was sleeping in my mother-in-law's house, and I was under a trance. And the Lord showed me kids being transported across the United States. And for some reason, he showed me Donald Trump. And I couldn't put the two together. But then he said, all I saw was the night, when the day goes into night, and the term nightfall came to me. And I told Kim about it, that I think God's telling me this has to come out, just like your song has to come out, because there's something there. And I said to the Lord, I don't know where you're taking me with this story, but I know it's going to move people and give them the experience. And this is why I haven't given up on it, because I know there's something there, divine. I just can't explain it. So I do understand what you're saying, Dennis.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Because
I am so connected. Yeah, with that. Yeah, we got a little delay here, but
I can relate
yes,
to
I
it.
hear you 100%. Yes.
So tell me.
Yes,
What is this? You were taught. Go ahead. I'm not going to interrupt you. Go ahead. I just wanted to share that.
No. I'm listening to you. It's a delay, but I'm listening.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Oh. No, I wanted to ask
Go
you,
ahead.
healing through art and science. Explain that. Healing through art and science. How does that work for you?
Healing through art and science. Well, art, science, it's all methodology to you have a starting point and you come up with a method to do something and complete it, and then you have a finishing point. And I think healing falls into that same pathway of getting results. And when you create music or song or even acting, you're taking the listener or the viewer through different phases of your story. Like science has a story. The human body, all of its physiological and neurological integrity is a story. The blood pathway, the heartbeat, nutrients that go into your mouth and go through your whole body and then out in waste. Everything is a story, and just like life is a story. And so the correlation and the similarities of taking either yourself or a listener or a viewer through a process and ending up at this conclusion or finality or finale is sort of the same. And I use, like when I listen to, for example, Missing Children, it's always a story. It's never the same. It's never the same experience because everyone is different. Everyone has their own experiences. So when I write a song, I'm taking people through a process of visualizing and with the music through a story. And we get to a point of wow, and then you have a climax, and then it trails off, and all of a sudden you got this beautiful story. And if it's great, people won't forget it. If it's a story and it's garbage, it doesn't stick. Right?
That's right.
So science
That's right.
is very meticulous. And when you go through classes or you go to college or whatever, the stories of how the body works, it can stick with you because it's your learning. You want to be involved with it. So that's how you, in my opinion, is how you get a great song or great acting experience or great performance is people can relate and feel your story. If they can't feel your story or relate to your story or you don't touch them or bring out some kind of emotion, then it's not relevant.
All right.
So
So,
that's how I relate the craft of science and artistry and my music and acting all in one. And my writing as well, which has been quite an experience for me over the last decade, writing articles, the people that I don't know, and then it gets published through editors that I don't know.
okay.
That's exciting for me because editors are really, really particular about writing. So it took me a little bit to kind of hone into exactly what I need to do and how I need to write to develop the craft of writing integrity and to be able to move people
So,
that you don't know, that you can't see through a story of influence. Yes, you were saying?
awesome. Awesome. No, what I wanted to also ask you was I'm curious about how do you take how was it taking your vision to the Oscars? How did that happen?
Well, the song Missing Children, I felt that possibility when I wrote it. Why did I feel that possibility? This may sound weird to your audience, but it's because I didn't write it. It was straight from God. And that's what I felt. It was straight from God. So I knew if he did it, it's going places. It's going far beyond anything I can imagine. So, can you still hear me?
Yeah,
okay.
I can hear you.
So when I wrote it and wanted to release it on a big scale, there were quite a few producers and record labels, big record labels. I'm not going to mention names. It's not really important. That wanted to change the song. They literally wanted to change it in their own way to make it more a commercial. And I kept trying to say, this is not a song for performance. This is not a song that I want people to listen to, bop and no. This is a song for people to experience the reality of what kids are going through and parents are going. So I wouldn't allow anyone at that time, and they were offering me some pretty lucrative deals. I wouldn't let them change one note, one sound, one approach, production, nothing. I said no way. I said, I appreciate it, but this song is Oscar worthy. And this was over 30 years ago. So fast forward, I had that feeling, always had that feeling. Even though very, very humbled, I just knew that God had a plan for that song. So when I submitted it, it immediately got accepted on the Oscars nomination list among, 94 writers in the world. Missing children among just 94. Now, and it took me, I had to sit back, JR, and just think about the magnitude of how awesome God is. To think about that. Now, I'm, relatively an unknown artist and unknown writer. And to be included with the best writers, songwriters in the world. Only 94 out of 7+ billion people on Earth, on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And to see my name on that list, I'm completely in awe. Still, to this day. I just can't believe that happened. But I remember the feeling I got when he handed me that song. And wow, there it was for the song. So the story, Saving Anna, came about working with a director out of Virginia. He's a great storyteller. He didn't have a screenplay or anything like that. He just had an idea of Saving Anna. And we talked in a hotel after a film festival or something. And we were talking, and because the song was a part of the film as a soundtrack, and I said, I can write an angle to this story you're talking about, including missing children and write my own whatever to be included in the film to help complete the movie. He said, really? I said, yeah. I said, I can see it already. And we're sitting there talking. I went home, drove back from Virginia, and I don't know, within a few hours, I had it written. My own part, had it written. I had been in a couple of movies before, and I had, studied acting a little bit in California. But this was my first opportunity to actually write something for a film. And I said, well, you know what? I can write songs. I can, I'm a great motivator. At least I think I am. I can write stories. I do have a couple scripts that I've written that never published. I said, yeah, I'm going to go for it. So I wrote it, and I saw my own part. And we finished it. It was done. And this is how awesome God is. Here's 30 years prior, I write a song for missing children. I ended up in a film for sex trafficking. Saving Anna is what the film is about, saving a girl, a teenager, out of the sex trafficking world and arena. So the song is in the film. So I write my part. And when we got done, I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. I did my scenes, and how this is awesome how God works. I had not been in front of the camera in over 30 years. The last time I was in front of the camera was I was doing extra work for Boomerang with Eddie Murphy. So that was the last time in front of a major, studio or camera or anything like that. And so it was like riding a bike. It's like I never forgot everything I was taught, and I wrote my own, so I knew what I had to do. I got in there, one take, I did it, it was done, and I submitted it. Submitted the Oscars for Best Actor. I didn't think that I did it because the opportunity was there to be able to submit as an independent company and writer. Now things have changed. But at that time, now things have changed drastically. But at that time, you could submit your work, the Best Actor and for Best Picture, only under the premises of having your film in a qualifying region for 7 straight days, consecutive days, and that was in New York, in Manhattan. So that happened. So I did it because I was qualified to do it. I mean, well, he was qualified as a production company to do it.
Right.
Didn't really, I knew I had a great performance, but compared to, all the great actors out there, and because it was independent and not on the mainstream, film circuit, it only premiered in Manhattan. I said, well, what do we have to lose? Nothing. It was free to submit. Let's just go for it. So we submitted it. Okay. And man, let me tell you something. About 2 weeks later, someone contacted me and said, your name is on the Oscars list for Best Actor. I'm like, what? And I'm like freaking out. And I'm like looking online, and I just started crying. Like I just was like crying like a baby. I could not believe that my name, Dennis Walter Smith, was on the Oscars list with Denzel and Robert De Niro and all these. Oh my God, so many people for Saving Anna. I said, wow, what a blessing. And then 2 days later, Best Picture came out for the Oscars, and Saving Anna is on the list. I'm like, oh my God, what can I say? What can I do here? I didn't even, to this day, I still don't know how to respond to it, except thank you, Jesus, because wow, how can you even, my first film, my first submission in the song, and as Best Actor and co-writer, the screenwriter for Best Picture. What do you say to that? How do you respond to the world? It's kind of like an unbelievable supernatural event. Like how is it even possible? And I'm like, I'm like, Lord, I'm not even worthy of any of this. But God says, you know what? You are. You are. And I don't know, JR. I get goosebumps like right now. I don't know what to say. I don't even know how to react. But it's just an awesome, awesome feeling, to get there and to bring everything full circle. When you mentioned a while ago, when you find and hone in to gifts that God gives you, He will lay out the pathway for you. All you have to do is put the work the work ethics, the sincerity, and the authenticity of hard work into what you do. And even though it was 30 years, pretty much for everything, that's like my golden number now. 30 years. Yeah, 30 years ago I did this. Yeah, my last show was 30, it's like the 30-year thing. I've always put in the work. And even though I wasn't in front of the screen, I've always kept my acting momentum or chops up, even messing around in my own private time. As a singer, always, 3-4 days a week, I'm always doing scales and practicing. For this one reason. I heard this years ago. I forgot who said it. Some great actor or someone, I don't know who said it. But greatness is defined when preparation meets that door of opportunity.
Oh,
Have you heard that? Yeah.
I've heard
Yeah,
that.
when it
Yes.
meets when you're all, and I learned that at a young age, people used to tell me, making my way around the film industry and music, you're always supposed to be ready, no matter what. There's no such thing as if you're an artist and you're not ready. If you're a singer, you don't know who's going to see you in the bathroom. You better be ready to sing something. You know what I'm saying? You can't be giving no excuse like, hold up, wait a minute, let me warm up. No, you got to be ready to do something. Hold on a minute, let me get some water. No, I didn't do my scales. Hold on. I'm not making a joke of it, but you have to be ready. And so my life, even though I got out of the business to, raise my 3 sons and my wife and create a fantastic unit of family. I wanted that more than anything. And I'm glad I did, because my sons are adults now, and my wife and I have been married for 31 years, and everything is good. But yeah, when preparation meets opportunity. So all of my preparation and doing my scales 3-4 days a week and keeping my chops up and keeping in the now, it paid off when it was time to deliver a performance, especially go ahead.
Question. Do you think your journey as an artist, have you fulfilled what the Lord has told you? Or do you think the Lord has other plans for you?
That's a very good question. As an artist, in its totality, for acting, singing, writing, or just one specific?
No, not a specific, more like in the general. Like, it could be any of those. Do you feel that your path to any of those, the Lord is pushing you in that direction still? Do you feel
Absolutely.
Still?
I believe it or not, right now, I feel like I'm just getting started.
Okay.
I feel like now it's the time that He's going to open up areas of my creative small brain to bring things out that I didn't even know was there.
Well, then let me ask you this. As an artist to another artist, and for all those fellow artists out there, what was the difficult time you had going through that process? Because, as artists, you want things to happen now, but there's that process and that waiting period. How did you handle that? Or did things just happen, pop, 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 pop?
Well, going back to what you said when we first started, God gives you gifts and talents. And it's His plan, and He has it laid out for you. So I always understood that and never put my own anxieties or wanting now in any of it. I've always been extremely patient and waiting and not worrying about if I need to do it now, I want to get this $1 million contract, or I need to get a house, or Because you know what? When you're in a hurry, you make bad decisions. And you have to be willing to not only wait on the Lord, but wait on yourself. You got to wait on the right opportunity, what's happening in society, your family, what balance you have in health, what balance you have in relationships, what balance you have in your town. You have to, everything has to, the stars have to be lined up to for life and God to catapult you. So I never was in a hurry. Even though the skills were there, like when I first started as a singer, my initial goal was to be the next Luther Vandross. That was it. The next, Freddie Jackson, next Luther Vandross. So many people compared me to them. It was just so happened that my voice is very similar. Thank God for that. But then I thought about it. I don't have to be the next anybody. I could be the first whatever God wants me to be. So back in right around 95, when Missing Children came out, I stopped that whole, I want to be, no, I'm going to wait. When the time is right, things will happen. Only thing I have to do, keep myself healthy. Because if I don't keep my mind and my body and my spirit healthy, whenever the time or opportunity comes up, I'm not going to be ready. So always worked on that. Always worked on my attitude, especially humility. A lot of artists, young and some old, in my opinion, lack humility. They lack being humble. And when you're not humble, you don't have patience. When you're not humble, you treat people with disrespect. When you're not humble, you want things right now, and if people don't give it to you, you feel as though you can't work with that person. The other part of it is, I think a lot of artists who are out there listening, you always have to compliment and uplift everyone in this industry, whatever it is that they do. Because if you want things to happen to you, you have to do it to other people. So even though nothing happened for me in a big way that I thought would happen or even wanted to happen, I always extended myself to either helping another person, or if someone sent me something, I would forward to someone that I knew in the industry, that kind of thing. I never stopped doing that. And that has hindered, relationships that I've had with people in the business. Because people, when it's almost like if you're not doing something for them, then you have no value in their circle. And that is the number one worst detriment and downfall. So when I say patient, yes, I want to be, just like Job. I want to be patient and just wait on whatever God, and be ready for when that preparation meets opportunity. But, not lacking in honing my craft and keeping up with it. But I'm not going to be too impatient. So to the artists out there, I think that is the one thing I would advise or even share is just always give more than you're getting, and expect no in this industry. Expect being turned down 1,000,000 times, because that 1,000,001 time, someone's going to say, "Hey, I like you, I want to work with you," kind of thing. So, yeah, very, very good question.
Have you ever had any? Oh, actually, let me rephrase it. Have you ever had any spiritual or supernatural encounters in
Oh,
your life?
yes.
And before you answer that, can you also explain, once you answer it, what it means to have a spiritual gift from God.
I will start at my very first experience, and that was at 6 years old. 6 years old. So I just turned 62 the other day, so that's a lot of, what is that, 56?
What?
I just turned 62.
You don't even look 62. You look younger.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Yeah, I just turned 62, October 14th. So thank you. So at 6 years old, I'm sneaking into my mother's closet, playing around, actually, hiding from my brother or something. Something was going on. I was just, being Dennis. So she had this big Bible. I don't know whether you know or you know anyone in your family. These big old Bibles they used to have, like this big, and the pages you had to like, one of those numbers.
Yeah.
So she had one of those
My
in
aunt.
her closet. So I'm opening it up. I laid it out on her bed, opening it up, and I'm reading. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I heard about the Bible, but I never really, opened it up. Big old red letters and stuff like that. So I'm reading it. I'm starting to read it. And I'm reading it, and I'm 6 years old, and I'm reading it, and it feels like I'm understanding what I'm reading. It's like blowing me away. So I put it away, and I go back a couple days later, and I'm reading it again, and I'm reading it. I'm understanding what it's saying. And I started in the New Testament because it had the red letters, especially when Jesus was talking. So I'm 6 years old, I'm reading. So after a couple of weeks, I told my mother, I said, Mom, I was reading the book, the Bible in your closet. And immediately she said, what are you doing in my closet? What are you doing in my closet? What are you hanging out in my closet? Something like, I was just playing around, but I was reading and I liked it and I could understand it. She said, what do you mean you understand? I said, something came over me. I could understand what Jesus is saying. And I said, you want me to tell you what he's saying? I'm 6 years old, and my mother. So I opened up the Bible and I said, you see here, I don't remember exactly what scripture is. It was one of the parables. You see, this is what he's saying. And my mom, just was in awe. Not only that I was reading, I'm 6 years old, and understood what I was reading, but I was reading the Bible and explaining to her what Jesus was saying. I did not know that was a supernatural event. Didn't find out till later that it was. So that was my first supernatural encounter, to be able to read and understand my understanding of what the Bible was saying. So my very first real supernatural event happened in 1991. Now, I've always been a child of God. I've always loved the Lord. I've always prayed ever since I was 6 years old. I got saved at 8 years old. So I was I had left California, driving back to the East Coast, moved from California, driving back to Philadelphia to stay with my parents and my little 1989 Hyundai. So I drove all the way. It was in August of 91. I drove all the way from Northern California down south, across Arizona and Texas, New Mexico, Texas, all that whole region, Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, up the East Coast. Weather was beautiful. So I get to New Jersey, and this was a 2-3 day event. I get to New Jersey, and it's raining a little bit. First time during my trip. So I'm trying to get off 495, I think it was, something like that. One of those roads to go into the Philadelphia region. So I'm trying to get off the highway. So I saw my sign, 495, try to turn. So I'm trying to turn the car, as we all do, to get off the highway onto the ramp. I can't. I cannot move the steering wheel. I'm like driving. I can't turn the wheel. It's almost like the car is off. You try to turn the wheel, you can't. That's how it was.
Right.
That's how physical it was. That's how dynamic it was. I thought I was losing. I thought the car had literally turned off and I was just coasting, but it wasn't.
Okay.
The car was on, everything was working. I could not turn the wheel to get off the highway. I'm like, what the heck? I was like, what is that all about? So, I said, that was weird. And I'm by myself. So I said, well, let me just go to the next thing, turn around so I can go back so I can get home. I was excited. I hadn't seen my parents in years, and I'm coming from California. I'm like, hey, I'm almost home. It's like 4:95. Got another hour. Like, yeah. It's great. I got the music bumping. So I go to the next off-ramp and went around. It was about 90 seconds. I get back around to where I was supposed to get off, 495. 7-car pileup. Are you listening? 7 cars all over the place. A person was hanging out of the car. No police, nothing. This has just happened. 7 cars. So I just parked. I didn't get out to help anybody and just started to cry. 7-car pileup. I couldn't turn my wheel. There was no delay in understanding what had just happened. God literally, with his mighty force, prevented me from turning off the highway. And at that point, now, like I told you, I've always been a child of God. At that point, everything changed. I stopped being a child and became an adult in Christ, in knowing who he is and understanding the power of supernatural power, understanding that all the stories in the Bible are real and they still happen today. The seas are still parted. A man can still walk just by word of mouth. I mean, these supernatural events do happen because it happened to me at that moment. That was the first big one. There are more, but that was the first one. And I was just completely blown away. And I haven't told very many people because you know what? When people are blessed, everybody does not experience supernatural events in their lives. God chooses certain people to have supernatural events. And the fact that he chose me to have these supernatural events, it just really just blows me away. I don't even know how to put it in words. To be so grateful to be able to see his work and that other people have not seen. They believe it can happen, but some people, they just don't, not that they don't get it, but he hasn't given it to them. He hasn't revealed to them who he is in that way. And to be chosen, whoever we are, it could be you, anyone, to be chosen to be fed that is just an unbelievable place to be in humanity. Because I walk around with this not only knowledge, but this spiritual alignment to be able to see things and feel things that other people can't, and to be chosen to have these events. I feel it's like a responsibility, and it's scary. And it's scary. And before we go, I want to share another event. So that was the first one. That was in 91. The second one came in 2007. My wife and I had bought a restaurant in Pennsylvania, and it was about an hour drive for me to go open and close, that kind of thing. So I'm coming back from Lancaster, Pennsylvania on my road. So I lived on Neversink Drive in Exeter, Pennsylvania. Uniquely, where I lived directly across from the only Godiva chocolate plant in the U.S. So that, that's the location specifics of Neversink Drive. Anyway, so I'm coming home. I'm on my road. It's about 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. It's a little bit foggy out, but I can still see. So I'm driving as normal. And it was a narrow road. Neversink Drive is a narrow road. Nothing but trees on each side. and then there's houses, but there's all trees. So there's no road or any place to pull off because it's all trees, like in a gully before you get to the houses. So people can't walk down from their house without going down a little bit into the gully with the trees and stuff. Anyway, so I'm driving, just normal, nothing specific. Voice in my head, prepare to stop because this truck is coming in your lane. Just as audible as I'm talking to you. I'm like, what? Because like when God speaks to you like that, you don't know where it's coming from, so you don't know who's talking. I'm thinking, is there somebody in the back seat? What's happening here? So he said that. Maybe 10 seconds later, this big semi, 18-wheeler, frantically comes in my lane on a 2-lane highway, one each way, comes in my lane. I'm like, this is it. I'm done. There's no way to go because the trees. I swerve to the right there. The only place on the street, there's a cement embankment for me to get off. I'm like, JR, God is so good. Once again, I throw my hands up and I'm only maybe 200 yards from my house. I just sit there and cry. I was like, God, you're trying to tell me something. I don't know what it is, but you're telling me. And to get that kind of audible clarity and visual clarity from the highway situation, what was that, 91, maybe 16 years apart, the two events. I just felt so blessed, JR. I don't even know how to put it into words of a visual of how that feels when God saves your life, literally saves your life, like picks you up right before the lion rips you apart. It's just unbelievable. And it happened to me just like I'm telling you. And I don't tell many people. I've only told my wife about that event and you. Here we are. Because just as the Pharisees and Rome and the leaders, no one believed Jesus. I'm not compared in any way, shape, or form. But no one believed him. No one believed those supernatural. When people used to go to the Romans and say, yeah, he made a man walk. No one believed. So I'm apprehensive to tell people. I want them to believe, but it's hard to put in words. It's almost like I'm afraid. I feel like sometimes I feel like not a freak of nature, but
crazy person
that no one believed. Yeah, like ostracized, or are you just talking stuff? But I know what I feel.
No,
I know what I feel, and I know how events have happened, and I know how I had a vision about missing children, and then it came to pass 30 years later. So it really doesn't matter if they believe or not. I guess it does matter because I'm afraid to tell, but I don't want to feel like it's kind of weird.
No.
I don't know.
I totally understand. I want to share my experience with you. I was 24. I was dating this girl. I was living with her and her parents. Mm-hmm. Her dad was a pilot for Delta. And one day she was having these stomach cramps, like really, really bad cramps. They didn't know what it was. The parents didn't know what it was. She took Mylanta and all these things, but she laid in bed and she just couldn't stop. Dennis, at that time, when I was a little boy like you, my mother put me into the Bible. I had a children's Bible, and I would read the stories. They had the little colored pictures and stuff. And I was like you. I was very close to God. And through my path, I stepped away from him, and he brings me back. Well, in that instant, at 24, I was standing. I remember the entrance to her bedroom. Her mom was right there in the hallway. Dad was there sitting down. And he was like, oh, well, then call the ambulance. I said, give me a second. Something told me, JR, get on your knees and put your hands on her stomach.
Mm.
I heard it clear as day, Dennis. I didn't understand because I felt weird.
Mm-hmm.
And the voice said, no, get on your knees. So I got on my knees. I put my right hand on her stomach. I closed my eyes and I just prayed. And I prayed so hard and I felt a warm feeling came through me.
Mm-hmm.
My girlfriend said, I don't believe it. The pain is going away. Oh my God. It disappeared. Her mother was standing by the door and her eyes were like open and her father was looking. He said, oh my God. It was a miracle.
Wow.
And I felt exhausted. I went to bed. And the next day, I don't even remember anything. Her father had to tell me the story. I said, I don't remember. He
Wow.
said, something came through you and healed my daughter.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so you're not
oh.
crazy.
Well, thank you for that clarity. I appreciate it. No, that wow, that is amazing, JR. Wow. It
Yeah.
just yeah.
So I have not shared this, not even with my producer.
Wow.
This is the first time I shared it with you tonight on this show.
Wow. I am so humbled. Wow. Thank you. That yeah.
So many times in my life, I've never understood some of the things that happened to me as well. But I do believe certain people come into my life, and God brought brought MK, you know, other individuals, I won't say name to protect, but I could tell God brings us together to share stories because a lot of times when you come together, you can amplify it to the world, just like your song, The Missing Children. And I do believe we're at a turning point in entertainment. And I believe that God's bringing his people up front
Mm.
to show the world and to direct the world to a positive place. Because right now we're in a place of darkness and we are the people to shine the light. And that's where we're going. And that's what we're doing. That's our mission. We have to shine that light. We have to bring that hope to society. Because
Yes.
if we don't, we will be lost.
Yes.
So I got to ask you this before we end the show at Dennis, what keeps your passion going for so long and your longevity with the acting, missing children's, all these things? What drives you to continue like this? And what would you tell a young person in your place when they first started right now?
Let's see. What keeps my passion and drive is that my relationship with God and knowing that all of my gifts, my purpose here on earth is because of him. And because he laid out the path, gave me these talents. I realize now that all the gifts that he's given me are not for me, they're for others. That being said, I know that I have to continue to work hard with all of my crafts and music and singing, acting, writing to make sure that I am available to share all the things that God gives me. And that keeps me passionate. Because if I'm doing something for myself, then I can get moved or I can get influenced by the negative energy of people who don't really care, who don't want to know, or who throw stones at you, or who talk about you, or who close the door. You know, you bring your talents through the door and they say, oh, you're nothing, get out of here, you're never going to be anything, you'll never work in this town again. And you can get you can get channeled in the wrong direction. But when you have a focus, and I know my focus, each person has to know their focus. So because my focus is really not on me, I don't have to worry about myself. I'm just know that I got to do it for God. And I know if I don't do it, he's not going to be too happy with me. So I take myself out of it. Even though the talent is used through me, I'm doing it for God. And the world, like you said, the world needs it. So I can't give up. I can't stop. The drive is never stop, because Jesus never gave up on me. And having that spiritual soundness, I know that I will never stop. The drive never stops. The creativity never ever stops. Everything that I do in life is focused on helping or giving to other people. You know, I went.
Do you do, do you believe in destiny? Do you believe in destiny?
Yeah,
Everybody has a
yeah,
destiny.
yeah. I do. And sometimes you don't know what that is. I don't know what will be the defining stamp on Dennis Walter Smith, but I do know that whatever that stamp is, there's going to be an encryption that says, or that reads, goodness to humanity or something, because that's all I want to do. That's all I live for. That's all I have lived for my entire life, is to do something great for someone else, or to help someone. Like right now, you know, I spent 12 years post high school education. You know, and I'm not ashamed to say this. I'm probably $500,000 in student loans right now, going through doctorate school. But you know what makes me so happy right now? Is what I'm doing. And that is, I became a certified nursing assistant. So I'm spending my time in long-term care, helping the elderly go about their daily activity, helping them with their quality of life, bringing them a smile because, you know, their children or family dropped them off. And that's what I want to do until I can't work anymore. Aside from, you know, my part-time work in the industry or film, whatever. That's all I want to do. I don't want to do another 9 to 5 doing anything else except spending time with the elderly and giving them a smile, joking with them, holding their hand. That's the most beautiful. I'm 62 years old, and this is all I want to do. And that feels good to me. It feels great. It feels like I just won the
But
lottery.
you also said that you're an author. Are you working on anything right now?
uh, no, my book, The Light of Life's Darkened Step, I published and released in 2000. And you know, I never did, and I think God has a plan for that as well, because that was another supernatural thing. If you don't mind me, do we have time to go back and share that?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, sure.
So in 1999, I didn't tell you about this. Yeah. And you're the first person I told. 1999, I was working 2 jobs, living in Pennsylvania, and I couldn't sleep. I was suffering from serious insomnia. I did understand, and I'm sure you probably know this, creative people go through that because your mind is always moving, never stops. It's not a bad thing. It's just you're always creating. You always have ideas. You have ideas that people can't see, will never see. It's just always constantly moving. So anyway, so I couldn't sleep so I suffered from insomnia. So I want the listeners to understand this. Sometimes people have insomnia. They can't go to sleep, or if they go to sleep, they only last for a couple hours, or they have to take some medication or something to kind of get to sleep. Sometimes you stay up for a couple of days. I was awake, fully awake now, working 2 jobs, 3 weeks. 3 weeks, JR. 3 weeks awake. It was the craziest time of my life. I was still functionable. I didn't fall asleep driving. I was just awake. What I realized after I got the message is God was trying to tell me something. So one day I'm getting dressed to go to work in my room. I bend down, kneel down to tie my shoe. I hear this audible voice again. That's that audible voice. It says, write a book. And I'm like, like a dog, like, huh? What? It was like, I'm serious. I'm like, what? I'm looking around thinking somebody else is in the room. Write a book. That's all it said. I said, and I kept that in my mind. I didn't tell anybody, didn't tell my wife. So that night, when I got home from work, guess what happened?
You wrote your book. You started to write. No.
I was able to go to sleep. And I slept the whole night. So when I woke up the next morning, I said, that was it. God had been trying to tell me something. I don't know whether there were pre-messages or something or whatever. I don't remember a specific, but he said, write a book. So when I went to sleep, I knew that that's what he was trying to tell me. That's why I was awake.
That's why you were, yeah.
I needed to listen. At that very moment, when no one else was in the room, that audible voice, write a book. That same voice that said, prepare to stop because that semi-truck is coming in your life. So that weekend, I started writing. 30 days later, it was done. Nothing fancy as far as processing. I did the transcript. I read it over myself a couple times. I only had 2 people read it. One of them was a 23-year-old who I was working with at Vanguard Securities in Pennsylvania. I had just gotten a job there working in the mutual fund department. And this guy said he was an English major. So I knew he wouldn't get it because the way I wrote it is the way God wanted me to write it. There were a lot of parables in there, and you really couldn't understand the direction I was going unless you're spiritual. If that makes, like if you know God's word, you know where I'm going or my text and my content and how it's written. So I knew he would be critical because he comes from a 4-year degree in an English major. I gave it to him specifically for a reason. Not for him to approve, but I wanted to see if I was on point. Because if he can't understand it and it's broken English, that means I did exactly what God wanted me to do. So when he came back, it's like, he's 24 years old. He's like, Dennis, this is I don't know. I mean, no disrespect, but this is written. This is like garbage. He's like, it was like garbage or something. It's like, the way it's written, it's really weird. Like, I don't know. I can't. I was like, thank you so much for taking time. But it's just, he doesn't have spiritual eyes. It's a good read. And I have let people read the book. I even bought it for a couple pastors, sent it to them. They really, really loved it. It's a beautiful book. It's a Christian antidote for dysfunctional families. Because at the time I was doing family counselor and that kind of thing. But I never really promoted it kind of thing. I never did anything except it was published. And then I remember Amazon Books picked it up and they kept it and kept selling it and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know whether God has more plans. I'd love to, because I love writing. I'm pretty sure something will come. It's just that, you just have to, like, it has to hit you kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, most of my creative processing, it's usually, it's very seldom that I'm given a project to do, but I'm looking forward to that. Because even in songwriting, I have never actually sat down with another person, I think, maybe once, to write something. It's usually I get the music and then I make a marriage.
You do the work.
Right. So if I'm writing it, then I do everything. I'm a music producer, but I'm not a music producer. That makes sense?
That makes
Like,
sense.
I can do it, but I'm not the best at it. What I'm the best at is being a lyricist and arranging it and making it a beautiful song. So my collaborative efforts over the past 20, 25 years, I would get music from producers with nothing attached to it, no lyrics, no nothing. And then I come up with God's gifts. And it seems like we were sitting there together making it. So in other words, I know my lane. I know my lane. The difference is with script writing, it's different. I can get an idea and make a story, and it would seem like I was right there with the creator. And so it's different with acting. Maybe it's because it's visual. I don't know. But I'd love to maybe tap into, maybe there's some other gifts that I have that I don't know about, to work with people to actually conceptualize a song and work together on it. I just never really did it, but I'm looking forward to the opportunity because it's not much different, I guess. I don't know.
I like it. I like what you're
Yeah.
saying. Now, here, let's. How can I say this? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where do I see myself in 5 years? Well, I see great things. Why? Because I've been having this spiritual euphoria over the last 4 or 5 years. After seeing my name the same year on 3 different Oscars lists, I'm thinking to myself, God's got something planned. He's keeping it from me, but he's trying to open up.
He's trying to open up.
Is that an echo or?
Is that an echo or?
No, that's my computer.
Okay.
My system
okay.
went down. So
Okay.
what we'll do is we'll end the show. What would you say to the youth out there?
Never stop dreaming.
Never stop
Never
dreaming.
stop dreaming.
Never stop dreaming.
Hone your craft
Hone your craft
and do what I did.
and do what I did.
Learn from the best.
Learn from the best.
When I decided to be a great writer, I learned from the best.
I learned from the best.
I listened to
and
read Barry Gibb, Smokey Robinson, Burt Bacharach, the best writers in the whole world. When I wanted to sing, I listened to the best. I listened to Nat King Cole, Johnny Mathis, Barbra Streisand, Luther Vandross, all the Judy Garland. Learn from the best. Whoever you think, and the best, in my opinion, are not necessarily the people that are out there making hits. You got to do research.
No,
You got to find out.
Yeah.
And learn from everyone that you can, everyone that you come in contact with. Everyone has a story. Everyone has something they can teach you. Not only learn from the best, but learn from everyone you come in contact with, and be humble to everyone that you come in contact with, no matter who they are. Don't go after being their friend or collaborating with them just because they can do something for you. Just be a part of the process. Be humble with your craft. Work hard and don't let anyone tell you
what you can't do.
And don't stop.
And don't stop.
Don't allow
life to
stop you from working to be the best. If you have children,
it doesn't mean you gotta work. It doesn't mean you can't
practice and do your skills. If you have to travel, if you have to stay home and take care of your kids or take care of your parent, don't let that stop you. Always find time every day to do something for yourself, for your craft. And what I've done is always keep the Lord first. I like that.
Well, Dennis, I wanted to say thank you again for being on this show. And it was a pleasure and it was a blessing to have you, to hear your inspirational words and your guidance and your wonderful stories for the youth today and for everybody. And we look forward to seeing what you're up with next.
Well, thank you, JR, and your team.
Well, thank you, JR, and your
for having me,
team
and it's been a
for having
blessing.
me, and it's been a blessing.
Yes, I'm
Yes,
looking forward to
I'm
some good things.
looking forward to
I'm
some
very
good
humbled
things.
by
And I'm very humbled by
this session tonight. Thank you
this
so much.
session tonight. Thank
Really
you so much.
appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, thank you everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we're out of here. Have a wonderful night.
All right, you too.